Imagine jumping off your school's rooftop, only to wake up years in the past with your entire family alive again. But here's the catch. You already know exactly how all of them are going to die, and how your own life will be destroyed. Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers, guys, and like this video for part 2. The story opens with Kazuki standing on his school's rooftop, ready to end his life. And somehow, the worst part isn't even that. Instead of trying to save him, the people below start placing bets and recording the whole thing on their phones. He blames himself for his entire family's deaths, says one last goodbye to his parents and his little sister, and steps off the edge. A girl comes running onto the rooftop, begging him to wait. She tries everything to reach him, but she's just a second too late. Right before he hits the ground, everything goes white. Then he wakes up. Instead of the afterlife, he's lying in his own bed. His little sister, Yuzuki, is yelling at him to wake up because it's the day of his high school entrance ceremony. At first, he thinks it's just another dream. But then she casually tells him that mom and dad are waiting downstairs. The second he hears that, he bolts out of his room. When he reaches the dining table, he completely freezes. His entire family is alive. His dad hands him a cup of coffee. Everyone's chatting like it's the most normal morning ever. Meanwhile, Kazuki can't stop crying. His parents assume he's just emotional because it's his first day of high school, but his mind is racing. This shouldn't be possible. To make sure he's not imagining things, he asks what year it is. His mom answers without thinking. It's 2023. That's when it finally hits him. Somehow, after dying, time has rewound to the day of his high school entrance ceremony. His parents get worried and even offer to take him to the hospital, but he brushes it off by saying he just had a terrible nightmare. A nightmare where everyone he loved disappeared. Only, for him, it wasn't a nightmare. It was his reality. And now that he's been given another chance, he silently promises himself one thing. No matter what happens, he's not letting history repeat itself. On the way to school, he can't stop looking at Yuzuki, almost like he's making sure she's really there. Out of nowhere, he tells her not to wander off for the next 100 years, earning an instant, "You're being so cringe today." He doesn't even care. Instead, he hugs her, tells her he loves her, and promises he'll always protect her. Yuzuki immediately calls his siscon level insane, tells him not to say weird stuff at school, but before they split up, she quietly reminds him that if something's bothering him, he can always talk to her. That one line hits way harder knowing what he went through. Standing in front of the school, another memory crashes into his mind. This is the same place where his life eventually fell apart. He looks up at the rooftop where everything ended in his previous life and makes another promise. This time, he's changing the future. Inside Class 1C, everyone is busy introducing themselves and making new friends. That's when he spots someone he recognizes immediately. Amada. In his previous life, the two became close because they were both into manga, anime, light novels, and rom-coms. They were the kind of guys who always rooted for the side characters instead of the main cast. But seeing Amada unlocks another flood of memories. During their second year, Kazuki agreed to help him get together with a girl. He figured if someone like him, basically a background character, could help a friend find happiness, then why not? That single decision became the biggest mistake of his life. Near the end of the school term, he was suddenly accused of secretly filming a girl while she was changing and blackmailing her. Photos taken from his own phone were presented as proof. He denied everything and insisted he'd been framed, but nobody believed him. The girl claimed she'd been threatened. His classmates immediately turned against him. Within days, everyone labeled him a disgusting criminal. And from there, his entire life collapsed. He was bullied every single day. His family got dragged into the scandal. His father lost his job. Rumors spread everywhere. People even blamed his family for unrelated accidents. His little sister became a target at school, and his mother was dragged through the mud alongside him. Eventually, the pressure became too much. In 2025, he climbed onto the same school rooftop and jumped. Back in the present, Amada's voice pulls him out of the flashback as he introduces himself. Kazuki realizes something important. None of that has happened yet. This is still the entrance ceremony. The future that destroyed his life hasn't begun. He also remembers something everyone else overlooked. Amada was never the problem. He was actually a genuinely good guy. The person who would eventually approach him for advice was the same girl who later framed him. As they're talking, Kazuki notices people naturally gathering around Amada, almost like he's the protagonist of a rom-com without even trying. Then another familiar face appears. Tatsuki Yamaoji. The handsome son of a company president and the guy every girl in class has a crush on. Amanda was the kind of boy everyone admired. Handsome, honest, and always willing to help others, he naturally attracted attention wherever he went. Countless girls had fallen for him over the years, yet there was one person he could never win over. No matter how many times he confessed, Amanda rejected him every single time because, in her eyes, he had never truly helped her when she needed it. Meanwhile, Suzuki remembered everything. In his previous life, he had been nothing more than a background character caught in Amanda's romantic comedy. This time, he had no intention of repeating the same mistake. He quietly told himself that he would stay out of Amanda's story and never get dragged into it again. At that moment, Amanda suddenly asked him about Hidaka. Suzuki immediately realized the conversation was heading in the exact same direction as before. Rather than encouraging him, he casually mentioned another girl instead. Amanda dismissed the suggestion and instead pointed toward his own childhood friend, who was currently talking with a handsome student nearby. Suzuki jokingly encouraged Amanda to introduce him, saying opportunities to talk to someone that beautiful didn't come often. To his surprise, Amanda refused immediately. Suzuki couldn't help pointing out that Amanda had never trusted him or helped him in the past. The moment those words left his mouth, he regretted them. If he antagonized Amanda this early, things could become far worse than before. Even so, Amanda insisted that Suzuki already had everything he needed because he had his little sister Mikoto. Suzuki admitted she really was a wonderful person, but Amanda remained stubborn, claiming he was perfectly happy just being around other guys. He even admitted that he could never get along with Hidaka. At first, he admired her, but she always seemed to dislike him. They barely spoke, and she wouldn't even look at him. To prove it, Suzuki encouraged him to ask for her contact information. The answer came instantly. A flat rejection. Watching everything unfold exactly as before, Suzuki became even more determined to stay away from everyone else's romance. Instead of interfering, he decided to focus entirely on his own future. His new goal was simple. Become the perfect side character. No making friends. No standing out. Just blend into the background like air. After school, Suzuki walked home with his little sister. Looking at her, he couldn't help wondering how she was already so beautiful despite only just starting high school. His sister immediately complained about him coming to pick her up, saying it stopped her from spending time with her friends. Suzuki apologized. In his previous life, he had interfered too much in her life. This time, he wanted her to prioritize her own happiness instead. His sister smiled and reassured him that everything was fine because she'd known her friends for years anyway. Hearing that made Suzuki genuinely happy. As they continued walking, she suddenly asked why he had already decided not to make any friends in high school. Suzuki brushed it off, saying having his family was enough for him. His sister wasn't convinced. She quietly suggested that maybe someone out there wanted to become close to him. As they talked, Suzuki casually mentioned that someone had been following them ever since school ended. His sister looked around in confusion. She hadn't noticed anyone at all. By the time she checked again, whoever it was had already disappeared. Without thinking much about it, she suggested stopping by a convenience store because a new flavor of chips had just been released. Suzuki laughed, joking that if he had a part-time job, he could buy an entire box of them. After grabbing the snacks, the two finally returned home. That night, Suzuki collapsed onto his bed completely exhausted. Even so, sleep would have to wait. He needed to prepare for what came next. His ultimate goal hadn't changed. He wanted to watch Amanda's romantic story unfold while remaining nothing more than a side character. However, if he wasn't careful, history could repeat itself. The next major event would be the karaoke friendship gathering in 2 days. Last time, he had ended up sharing a room with Amanda. That single event had dragged him deep into the story. This time, he absolutely had to avoid it. As he searched for excuses, he realized using his little sister as a reason could work more than once without raising suspicion. Satisfied with his plan, Suzuki quietly promised himself that he would simply watch Amanda's romantic comedy from a safe distance. Unfortunately, He had been talking out loud. His little sister heard everything. When Suzuki jokingly asked if they should sleep together, she immediately rejected him without hesitation. Even so, another concern lingered in his mind. If he skipped the karaoke event, someone else would inevitably take his place. Still, he convinced himself that staying away was the safest option. Eventually, he fell asleep. The next morning, school began with an announcement. Jukiyama excitedly invited the entire class to a karaoke friendship party that Saturday. Almost everyone agreed immediately. Then he asked if anyone absolutely couldn't attend. The atmosphere made refusing incredibly difficult. Even so, Suzuki calmly raised his hand. He explained that he already had plans because of a part-time job interview. Money was tight, and he couldn't even afford to join the event anyway. Although Jukiyama felt sorry for him, he accepted the explanation and allowed Suzuki to skip the gathering. Unexpectedly, Amanda also refused the invitation, claiming he already had plans as well. Then Hidaka declined too, saying she simply didn't want to go. Suzuki quietly realized they had all reached the same conclusion for completely different reasons. As everyone prepared to leave, Jukiyama suddenly asked Suzuki for his contact information. Suzuki couldn't understand why. After hesitating, he finally exchanged contact information with Jukiyama. Immediately afterward, Jukiyama tried getting Hidaka's contact information as well. Her response was even harsher than before. She insulted him without hesitation and rejected him completely. The situation quickly became chaotic as other girls eagerly volunteered to exchange contacts with Jukiyama instead. Meanwhile, Amanda remained focused on Suzuki. He kept asking where the part-time job was located. Suzuki refused to reveal the exact location because he didn't want anyone showing up unexpectedly. Eventually, he only admitted that it was a local convenience store. Satisfied with keeping the important details hidden, Suzuki quietly reassured himself that his future was still on track. He had already decided that he would remain nothing more than a background character at school while building a completely different youth through his part-time job. As he imagined meeting his future co-workers, Hidaka suddenly called out to him once again. Their unexpected interaction continued as the distance between them slowly began to shrink.